Summit 2021, Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future. Over to you, sir. Sir, can you please unmute your mic first? Your mic is mute, sir. Can you please? Sir Sheikh Mohammed Ali, your mic is still mute. We are not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You are most welcome.
Assalamu alaikum ji. Thank you so very much for inviting me over and giving me the opportunity to speak on this wonderful platform. First things first, I should clear that I'm not a doctor as yet. And I don't think at this age I will go for my doctorate. But nevertheless, let's jump right into the topic. Just give me a minute. Let's define, first of all, well, my topic is teachers as spiritual parents. So how do we define spirituality? I think that is very important. So spirituality is linked to many important aspects of human functioning. Spiritual people have positive relationships, they have a high self-esteem, they are optimistic, and have meaning and purpose in life. Spiritual people self-actualize, that Maslow's hierarchy of need on top of the pyramid. So they tend to reach, or they have reached, the stage of self-actualization. We being Muslims, of course, in Islamic literature, spirituality means awareness of the origin of this entire universe, worshipping God, seeking the satisfaction of God, humility and submission to the will of God, and trust, which a human demonstrates in all of his or her actions. In this way, an individual's relationship with God is the focal point of Islamic spirituality. Now, when we talk about teachers as spiritual parents, what do we mean by that? Let's come to that. Every religion has given a high status to teachers. If we quote Islam singularly, it has given teachers the status of spiritual parents. It is also said that if a person teaches you a single word, he or she becomes your teacher. So one should respect them. That is proof of how respectable teachers are. In simple words, it shows how much important a teacher is for the development of society. Now, however, the definition of the word teacher is broad. Unfortunately, in our country, it has been restricted to a person doing a job in a school, a college, or a university. Now, according to my understanding, a teacher is not only a person teaching in an institute only. A teacher could be your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, a friend, somebody younger to you, somebody older, or even a book. You can even learn from a book. Now, West has given a very high status to its teachers. They are seen as special citizens of their respective countries. The reason behind this high status is that they are aware.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt you, but actually the people are asking, your voice is very low. So can you please speak a little bit louder?
Shout a little? Okay, I'll try. People always complain
Yeah,
about...
much better. Actually, they want to listen to you eagerly, so that's why they are asking.
शेख साहब एक्चुअली वो धीमे अंदाज में ही बात करते हैं, लेकिन सर आपकी शायद उसकी वॉल्यूम लो है, तो वो थोड़ा हाई कर लीजिए ताकि, क्योंकि लिख भी रहे हैं लोग चैट के अंदर.
I just did that. I just did that. Is it any better?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. West has given high status to its teachers. They are seen as special citizens of their respective countries. The reason behind this high status is that they are aware of their teachers' traits. They are aware of the role of teachers that play in the society. They know that teachers are responsible for breaking or making any society. Teachers do not differentiate between students and think that every student is their child, and thus continue to teach and help in building the society. So, as per my understanding, this is the kind of definition that I could have come up with when it talks about teachers as spiritual parents. Now, I just wanted to be a little different. I've been on many platforms, I've spoken on different fora here, there, and everywhere. So, I thought maybe I can come up with a presentation and make it slightly different from what others have been speaking on this subject. Now, let's see. Let me open up my presentation and share that with you. Okay. Just bear with me. Let me share my screen, please. Okay, can we see the screen? Can we
Yes,
see my
sir. Yes,
presentation?
it's shown.
Okay, okay. Let me enlarge that as well. Oh, okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So let's start. I've collected some quotations, different types of quotations when it comes to spiritualism, spirituality, being parents, being teachers, being mentors, and guides to our students. So let's start here. Before I became a teacher, I had no idea that you could fit so many kids in one heart. To the world, you may just be a teacher, but to your students, you're a star. Teachers make other professions possible. Good teachers know how to bring out the best in their students. Now, when I look back 40 or 45, 50 years ago that I went to school, I have some very strong and sharp memories about some of my teachers, and they remain so close to the heart. And I feel that other than my parents, of course, who raised me good, there's certain teachers who have played a very important role in shaping up my personality. Yeah, so this particular slide reminds me of those particular teachers. A teacher presents the past, reveals the present, and creates the future for you. The best teachers teach from the heart, not from the book. Teachers may have a lot of knowledge. They do. They are bound to. They are required to have a lot of knowledge which they gather from the book. But from the experiences, when they teach, when they talk about their personal experiences in class, it brings color to the classroom and to the discussion. The best teachers are those who show you where to look, but they don't tell you what to see. So they kind of guide you, they hold your finger, they point you in that direction where to look for knowledge. But they don't tell you what to see. You come up with your own ideas, you shape your own future. Teachers change the world one child at a time. It's a very difficult, very arduous, very time consuming act. But this is what they do, and we don't even realize when we are sitting in that classroom packed with other kids. But they are actually doing that. Some of the good teachers, and Alhamdulillah, I've had the privilege of having such teachers in my, especially my school life. Give me a fish and I eat for a day. Teach me to fish and I eat for a lifetime. Yeah, very famous Chinese proverb. To teach is to touch a life forever. I, as a teacher, although I'm not a full time teacher, but I've been teaching for the last 20 plus years, mostly in the corporate sector. But for 4 years, I went back to the university and taught as a visiting faculty. And surprisingly, most of the people I know on Facebook, they happen to be my students. So yes, it's a very strong bond between you and your students, especially if you have touched their lives, especially if you've spent some time outside the classroom discussing their personal lives, helping them out, guiding them for whatever they need. They still call me, they still come to me after 15 years that I've taught them, and they ask for suggestions. They ask if they are having marital issues and things like that. So you can never detach yourself from your students if you are that kind of a teacher. Well, top 10 signs that you are a great teacher. You see each child as a child and not as a diagnosis. You see your class as individuals, not as a drawer full of case files. Your students are they're human beings. They're not robots. They need to be loved. They need to be liked. They need to be taken care of. They're tender people, and you kind of polish them, you guide them, you take them along. You keep your sense of humor against all odds. You deal with upset kids, clueless administrators, and pushy parents with grace and dignity. You're not afraid to be flexible and creative. You know when to make a stand and when to choose your battles. You see parents as allies, not enemies. You never give anybody any doubts as to why you went into teaching. You love your job. You don't go into teaching. Teaching pulls you. I think you're a born teacher. Sometimes you don't even know that. And that is what I kind of found out in my career. As I mentioned earlier, I've never been a full time teacher per se, but teaching pulls me somehow. I always end up into training wherever that I go and work in different departments, in different divisions, in different cities and in different countries. I always end up being a teacher. I don't know, maybe I was born in that fashion. Maybe my mother is a professor. I don't know. I don't have any explanations. You simply love your job and it shows. Your students love you too, of course. I think these 10 points, I think I should have placed them at the end of my presentation. They kind of summarize my entire discussion and my dialogue for today. Nevertheless, let's proceed. Teacher who loves teaching teach children to love learning. I think this is a beautiful slide. Teachers who love teaching teach children to love learning. You cannot coax your students into learning. You cannot push them into learning. If you are a good teacher, if you are a spiritually strong individual, if you are humble, if you have a loving attitude towards your on self and your students in the class, you automatically tend to create an atmosphere whereby the people sitting in the audience, not necessarily children, I go and speak at different forums, especially in the corporate sector now, and I treat them as my children. I take them as my audience and I engage with them, looking them in the eye. I think that is very important. Before and after class participation, making friends with them, making them feel easy in your presence. I think that is very important. The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. I wish I can become a great teacher one day, whereby I can inspire whoever I meet. Yeah, inshallah.
Sir, please a little bit louder. Again,
Sure,
the voice
sure,
has become. I'm
sure.
so sorry to
Sure,
interrupt you.
it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. The art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge, Albert Einstein said. A favorite teacher becomes a permanent inspiration and admiration in a student's heart for a lifetime. He or she remains there. I have two professors. They both happen to be Indians. When I went to school as a university at the Asian Institute of Management in Manila, one is Professor Nishi Mukherjee, the other professor is Professor Purba Rao. Professor Purba Rao, she adopted me like a son. She being a Hindu, she used to call me at Diwali and all the functions that would take place in her house, and she would treat us like her children. And she was such a motherly figure, and she never felt us as if we were away from home. She was so caring, and she knew that we were Muslims, so we would eat halal, and she would always offer us the Indian vegetarian food and take care of us and things like that. The other professor, Professor Nishi, he right now is working in a tiger reserve in somewhere in central India, and he always makes it a point to call me on Eid and Bakra Eid, and he's a Christian, and I call him on Christmas, and we talk about things in general. And although I'm much younger, but he would always address me as Sheikh Sahab, and he would always, never forget to call me, especially on the our holy days and Eid days. It is such a wonderful feeling to have teachers like that who could be such nice people who could inspire you and make you go when you're down. A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. My mother, she's Alhamdulillah, she's still alive. She was in Adamji Science College for 18 20 years in Karachi, retired as principal in Khatun Pakistan College. From her college days, I remember her students, mashallah, many of them are even dead now. She's in her late 80s. They would just come up from nowhere and kiss her hands at times and cry and hug her, and they would be CEOs of this multinational and that multinational. So that is what I grew up with, and uh, why I remember my mom right now is like teacher being a candle. So good teachers are always like that. A teacher takes your hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. I facilitate thinking, I engage minds, I listen to questions, I encourage risk, I support struggle, I cultivate dreams, I learn every day, I teach. So that is my profession. If I don't do any of these, I don't think I can claim myself to be a teacher, leave aside being a good teacher. So a teacher, he can never tell where his influence stops. Yeah? Teach, encourage, instruct, mentor, praise, influence, guide, and inspire. At the end, inspiration, I think, is something which matters. In most of these presentations, we see the word inspire. So I think it is very important, especially in these days whereby kids are at home, teachers are at home, this online thing is going on. There are teachers who don't know how to teach. On of course they know how to teach, but not they don't know how to use the internet to teach. They're having struggling, having problems. Students are having problems. But I think inspiration is very important. Whereby I don't even know who is my audience right now. I don't even know who am I speaking to. But if I can leave a mark on their hearts by my talk, I think I've done my job. So it all boils down to inspiration. The best teachers don't give you the answers, they just point the way and let you make your own choices in life. You make your own mistakes. That way, you get all the glory and you deserve it. So, having said that, uh, as earlier mentioned, good teachers or best teachers, they just guide you. They just make you go in a particular direction. They they are not supposed to push you. I, being a parent, my younger one, they all go to private school. I have three kids, alhamdulillah, two sons and a daughter. Two are going to, one is going to school now, one is going to college, the other is in university and is abroad studying in Turkey now. My parents never pushed me to become an electronics engineer. I wanted it that way. After that, I pursued my career in business and I went to the Far East. Came back from Europe, then went to the US, came back, and then pursued my masters in business. To date, they have never pushed me as to what I'm doing with my life. It is my choice. It is my life. But till the age of 12, I think it is important for parents as teachers to guide their kids and counsel them when kids are smarter than I am these days. All of us should know that. We need to accept that. So we can't push our kids in the classroom or our own personal kids or in the relatives or in the neighborhood, do this, do that, you become an engineer, you become a doctor, and things like that. No, if they come to you for guidance, help them, guide them, but let them make their own choices, especially when they are young adults. Yeah? So it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. Teachers can change lives with just the right mix of chalk and challenges. Beautiful saying. What a beautiful saying. Just the right mix of chalk and challenges. Yeah. So I love writing with the chalk on the blackboard. Now we have green boards, we have white boards, we have all kinds of boards. Teachers inspire you, they entertain you. Yes, that is very important. When I was teaching in the business school and I used to conduct a 3 hour class twice a week, teachers, my students would get bored. I knew that. So, how to entertain them, how to crack jokes at times, make them sit in your class. So, you have to be, at times a comedian, and at times you entertain them, carrot and stick approach, so that they would listen to you, they would be in class mentally and physically, and you end up learning a ton even when you don't know it. So good teachers are supposed to be doing that. Bruce Lee, imagine a fighter, what is he saying? A teacher is never a giver of truth, he's a guide. You find your own truth. He points you to the truth that each student must find for himself. If I say, let's say, being a Muslim, that Islam is the truth, I can say that if I'm a Muslim, but somebody in my audience may not be a Muslim. I cannot coax, I cannot push my religion into that person. Now, this is the Sufi in me talking, since I subscribe to the point of view of Mevlana Room, whereby he says, come, come, whoever you are. So if you are inspired by my personality, as a guide, as a mentor, as a teacher, if you are inspired through my dialogue, you will automatically come. I cannot push you into my classroom. I cannot push you into my thought, into my perspective, into my ideas of life. You choose your way. If you like my way, you come and join me. Just like in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, La ikraha fi dini. There is no compulsion in religion. That is what the Quran is saying. It's not what I'm saying. So if the Quran says that, who am I to push you to my particular school of thought? I being a Muslim, I being a Sunni, I being a Shia or a Wahhabi for that matter. And that is how I would like to drive the analogy, being a teacher also. If I have a point of view towards whatever that I'm teaching, I can just guide you, counsel you, move you, guide you towards that path. But I can't force you to, accept that. You make your own choices. So we expect teachers to reach unattainable goals with inadequate resources. This is precisely what is happening these days when our school walas are, no offense to anybody, when they're pushing the teachers, poor souls, they're at home and they want people, the teachers to make these miracles. But these teachers, the ones who are working very hard, they often do make these miracles. I touch the future. I teach. Yeah. So when I teach, when I look at my audience, at my students in the classroom, I'm looking into the future. Teachers have three loves: the love of learning. I have to learn. I have to read all the time. The love of learners, the people that are sitting in my audience, in my class, and the love of bringing the first two loves together. So I need to love myself. I need to love the learnings, my learnings, and the learners who I'm teaching or trying to teach. Better than 1,000 days of diligent study is one day with a great teacher. Wow, beautiful Japanese proverb. So if you spend just one day with a great teacher, I think he will inspire you for the rest of your life. Teachers can plan inspiring lesson activities from amazing places. This is precisely what I'm doing right now. You're sitting in Karachi, I'm sitting in Islamabad. I don't know how many people are watching me or this particular program from different parts of the world. So, while we are cursing, which we should not, Corona and this COVID, but I think it has opened up new avenues, new spaces for us to learn and teach. In teaching others, we teach ourselves. Yeah. How can I learn until unless I share my ideas with others? I may be wrong, so I need to discuss and have a dialogue with my audience, and I may learn something good from them. So to be a teacher is my greatest work of art. Yeah, that's it. Happy learning. I hope I'm on time. Yes, 5 minutes to go. So yes. I wonder how do I turn this off? Stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay, I'm
Thank you
here.
so very much, Sheikh Saab.
Janab, Janab.
तो बट अब मेरा सवाल ये है कि टीचर्स जो हैं आजकल के स्पेशली जो नए असातिज़ा हैं उनको कैसे ये रोल रियलाइज करवाया जाए कि दे आर द स्पिरिचुअल पेरेंट्स। आपने बहुत सारे कोट से उनके रोल को आप बताते गए, डिफाइन करते गए, बट द डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन about being the spiritual parents and its importance for this our students.
एक तो मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन सदका जारिया के तौर पे सबसे शेयर कर लीजिए, because when you pass through it, when you go through this, when you slide through this presentation, कोई एक आध भी अगर क्लिप पे आप स्लाइड पे आप रुक जाते हैं और उसको गौर से पढ़ते हैं और दोबारा पढ़ते हैं और वो आपके दिल पे असर करती है, तो आई थिंक आई हैव डन माय जॉब। जैसे कि मैंने शुरू में डिफाइन किया, स्पिरिचुअलिज्म जो है वो एज तो नहीं होती, जैसे कहते हैं ना इल्म किसी की मीरास नहीं है, लेकिन जनरली स्पिरिचुअलिज्म जो है वो वक्त के साथ आपके अंदर डेवलप होता है। ओवरनाइट अगर आप किसी से एक्सपेक्ट करें कि जी वो स्पिरिचुअल होगा, एट टाइम्स यू कुड बी हाफिज। चले मैं एक अजीब सी एनालॉजी ड्राइव करता हूँ, आपने हिफ्स कर लिया है लेकिन कुरान की जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो आपके पास इतनी नहीं होती। आपको याद है, आप नमाज पढ़ा सकते हैं, लेकिन कभी कभार कुछ ऐसे आप लोगों से मिलते हैं लाइफ में, और ये मेल्स में यूजुअली देखा गया है क्योंकि वही हाफिज़ कुरान होते हैं, जनरली हाफिज़ा कम होती हैं हमारे यहाँ, बट दे इंस्पायर यू। और उनमें एक ऐसा एक स्पिरिचुअलिज्म होता है, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो हाफिज़ कुरान हो, लेकिन उनकी कुछ बातों से आप कन्विंस हो जाते हैं। आप चाहे वो एंड दे डोंट एट टाइम्स हैव टू बी मुस्लिम्स। आप देखें अक्सर कुछ योगीज हैं, कुछ इंडियन जैसे आपको लोग मिलते हैं, Paulo Coelho, for example, he's a Brazilian writer. He writes in Portuguese, translated in so many languages. आप उसकी किताब कौन सी है मशहूर, Alchemist, I think वो recommend करें ज़रूर। Teachers should read that book. I think it's a wonderful book जिसमें वो एक जर्नी है जिससे वो गुजरता है। एंड मैं कुछ
यहाँ पे मुझे एक और किताब याद आ गई शेख साहब, चिकन सूप फॉर द टीचर्स सोल।
I've heard about it. I've not read
it's
that.
an excellent, no, I have it. I have a copy of it. It's an excellent book. एंड एक भी पेज आप एक भी कहानी या स्टोरी उस टीचर की पढ़े ना, तो मैंने तो जितनी भी पढ़ी आंखों से आंसू बह गए, बिकॉज दे टच योर हार्ट सो मच। तो बात यहाँ पे स्पिरिचुअल तो हम सब हैं टू सम एक्सटेंट और द अदर, एंड बीइंग मुस्लिम्स हम शायद ज्यादा होते हैं, आई फील दैट। एंड द थिंग इज दैट असल जो मसला है वो कनेक्शन का है, connecting to the souls you are dealing with.
Yes, that is very important. जैसे मैंने कहा कि जब मैं किसी ऑडियंस के पास जाता हूँ, लेट्स से ट्रेनिंग के लिए फॉर एग्जांपल, तो मैं यूजुअली थोड़ा सा पहले जाता हूँ, चीज़ें सेटअप कर ली, कुछ लोग आके बैठ गए, तो उनसे बात करना शुरू करते हैं आप। When you go to the classroom or you're teaching in the corporate sector, let's say you're going for a presentation or whatever, so you start talking to people. उनके जो जैसे कहते हैं ना वो हार्ट के स्ट्रिंग्स को जब आप हिलाना शुरू करते हैं, उनके लेवल पे आके, you need to give them respect, of course, whether it's the opposite sex or the same sex. थोड़ा सा पर्सनल होने की कोशिश करें। You look them in the eye, ask them, आज मूड कैसा है, गाड़ी चलाते हुए यहाँ पहुँचते हुए आपको कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं है, थोड़ी सी पर्सनल लाइफ के बारे में थोड़ा सा, स्पेशली अगर आप देखिए मोटिवेशनल जो स्पीकर्स हैं, इंस्पिरेशनल स्पीकर्स हैं, जो इंटरनेशनल स्पीकर्स हैं आज के दौर में, अगर आप उनको स्टडी करें, जो अच्छे स्पीकर्स हैं, वो they touch your heart, they touch your lives, and they share their personal lives with you. Usually the West, Americans, Britishers, they don't do that. They did not do that. But inspirational speakers, they're very open about their own personal lives. And when I start talking about my wife, my kids, my daughter, what did I eat in the morning, तो आप एक रैपो सॉर्ट ऑफ स्टार्ट करते हैं, लोगों के साथ बात करना शुरू करते हैं, एंड यू मेक योर ऑडियंस फील कंफर्टेबल. Once they are comfortable, then you can come down to their level and start talking to them, even in an audience, at a personal level. You, while giving them importance, as if you're speaking, you've arranged this particular seminar just for this person, so he or she feels elevated. And जैसे कहते हैं ना, पैसे वसूल हो जाते हैं. तो ये आहिस्ते आहिस्ते होता है, वक्त के साथ होता है. और ये कनेक्टिविटी जब डेवलप होना शुरू हो जाती है, तो फिर आप एक, जैसे कहते हैं ना, शहद का छत्ता बन जाते हैं, और फिर मक्खियाँ आना शुरू हो जाती हैं, रोकना मुश्किल हो जाता है. It gets difficult at times. I'm a member of 15 plus groups on WhatsApp. 2000 plus people are there on Facebook. 2000 plus on LinkedIn. People call me, wake me up in the middle of the night sometimes, ask for guidance. Uh, you can't say no. It does get difficult, but that is my own choice. किस हद तक आप जाएंगे लोगों को सिखाने के लिए, उनकी उंगली पकड़ने के लिए, ये चॉइसेस आपकी होती हैं.
Thank you so very much, Sheikh Saab, for your input, and I hope it has inspired the teachers and the group that is present here attending. Thank you. Over to the hosts for the next announcement, please.
Thank you.
Yes, Umama. Thank you so much, sir. Umama, please continue.
You're welcome. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Yes, Ms. Umama, your mic is mute.
No, I was disconnected.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot for your great insight about this. Now, productivity